I still remember the day my older sister Lara disappeared. One moment she was in our family's old townhouse in the countryside, finishing her last semester of college remotely, apparently consumed by some quiet obsession. The next she was just gone. No texts, no phone calls, no letters. We filed a missing person report, scoured her social media, and pestered her friends. Months passed with nothing but heartbreak and unanswered questions. Then, last autumn, while preparing to sell the townhouse where she lived, I returned to pack up her belongings. The place was musty and half-furnished, bare walls, dusty floors, boxes of books stacked haphazardly. No sign of forced entry, no sign of a struggle. The police had combed through months ago, finding no leads. It was as if my sister just walked away from her life. A sense of finality weighed on me. If I couldn't find answers here, maybe there were none. So I spent the day sorting her clothing, her odd collection of antiques, her bulging notebooks of half-finished short stories. Lara had always been the imaginative one, penning spooky tales about secret forests and nightmarish creatures. Maybe that talent for weaving illusions had spilled over into her disappearance. I set aside a stack of diaries from her younger years, mostly half-filled volumes of teenage angst. But a smaller, more recent notebook caught my eye. Its spine was cracked, edges charred as if it had been briefly exposed to flame. The cover bore no title, just faint scratch marks across the dull leather. With a prickle of curiosity, I pried it open. The first few pages were typical journaling, frustrations with classes, loneliness, insomnia. Then the tone changed. Words spilled out in anxious loops, describing vivid nightmares. Dreamed I was running through the woods, chasing something. My teeth ached. My nails felt too long. When I woke, the sheets were on the floor, my arms covered in scratches. My heart sank. Had Lara been hurting herself, or suffering some mental crisis? My eyes flicked to the date, roughly a month before she vanished. Full moon last night. Another dream. I was stalking an injured deer, pounced on it. The taste of blood. Disgusting, thrilling. Woke up sweaty, found mud under my fingernails. I'm losing it. In each entry she referenced hunting, blood, scratches, and a creeping sense that her reflection in the mirror was not her. She wrote about waking with bruises, hearing howls at odd hours, glimpsing something behind her eyes whenever she dared look in the mirror. The final entry chilled me to the core. It's no longer just dreams. I'm certain now. Last night I stepped outside under the full moon, half asleep. I lost time. Woke at dawn, covered in dirt, clothes torn. I see it in the mirror, watching me from behind my own face. It's not me. They say if you stare into your reflection long enough, you see the demon you could become. When I look in the mirror, I see its eyes, a cold dread coiled in my stomach. My sister's scrawled signature ended abruptly. No mention of where she went, why she left, or how. Was this some meltdown, a delusion, or something else? By the time I finished reading, night had fallen outside. Wind hissed through the tree line. The old townhouse felt watchful, its corridors filled with settling creaks. In the half-light, the shadows of furniture stretched oddly. I couldn't shake the sensation that I was being observed. I told myself that reading Lara's paranoid diary had infected my thoughts. Yet I locked the doors anyway, double-checking windows. My chest felt tight. The diary painted a portrait of someone tormented by nightmares that bled into reality scratches, missing hours, a sense of an animal presence inside her. If she truly believed she was turning into something monstrous, it might explain her flight, but that was madness, right? Hunger stirred. I realized I'd skipped dinner. Too unnerved to drive anywhere, I rummaged the pantry for leftover canned soup. In the dim kitchen light, the old mirror on the wall caught my eye. My reflection stared back, tired eyes, disheveled hair. For an instant, I almost imagined someone else's face flicker across the glass. My heart skipped. I looked away, scolding myself for jumping at illusions. After microwaving soup, I settled at the dining table. The townhouse's hush pressed in around me, broken only by the wind outside. Halfway through the bowl, I heard a noise from upstairs, a soft thump, like something shifting. My pulse quickened. I set the spoon down, waiting. Silence. Had a loose window banged shut in the breeze? Maybe. Still, tension built in my shoulders. The memory of Lara's final words about the mirror and the monstrous reflection hammered my thoughts. I forced the soup down, my appetite ruined. That night, I slept in what used to be the guest bedroom, hoping the familiarity might keep me calm. But the old bed squeaked, and every time a floorboard popped, I jerked awake. My dreams churned with half-formed images. A moonlit field, something crouched behind me, the sensation of 4 legs instead of 2. I woke around 3 a.m., soaked in sweat, heart pounding. In the gloom, the faint reflection in the window glass seemed to hold a pair of glowing eyes. I blinked, and it vanished. I told myself it was just my imagination. But a sense of foreboding lingered, like my sister's final nightmares were creeping into my mind too. Morning arrived overcast and cold. I hurried to tidy up Lara's things, telling myself I'd leave by lunchtime. As far as I was concerned, the townhouse was haunted by her memory, maybe her madness. The diary weighed in my backpack, the last piece of evidence of her mental collapse. While boxing up some books in the living room, I found a small Polaroid snapshot tucked in a worn novel. It showed Lara standing in front of a wooded area at twilight, her eyes half-lidded, face tense. The date scrawled on the back was just 2 weeks before she vanished. She looked exhausted, her arms folded to hide bandages around her wrists. My gut twisted with guilt. I'd been so busy with my own life I never realized how deeply she was hurting. I spent the afternoon cleaning, ignoring the uneasy hush outside. The day remained oppressively still, no birds, no rustle of leaves. As evening approached, a sense of dread gnawed at me. I knew I should drive home, but some intangible force pinned me there, an irrational compulsion to see if the night would bring an answer to Lara's disappearance. So, once again, I stayed. That evening, the sky cleared enough for a bright moon to peek through ragged clouds, perfect fuel for my imagination. I cursed myself for letting my fear overshadow reason. Lara had used phrases like full moon, hunting, eyes in the mirror. Maybe she associated her episodes with the moon's cycle. I tried distracting myself by rereading old letters from her college professors. They praised her writing talents, expressed concern about her frequent absences, no mention of werewolf-like transformations. Then I found a local newspaper clipping stuffed in a folder. Strange animal attacks reported near Old Quarry. The article dated to a week before she vanished. Eyewitnesses claimed a large wolf or dog was prowling the outskirts at night. My sister had circled the date in red pen. My skin prickled. Could she have believed she was that large wolf, unconscious and roaming at night? Or was there an actual wild beast out there playing into her delusions? Late that second night, I lay in bed with a lamp on, reading her diary one more time. She described an increasing inability to recognize her own reflection. I see something else behind my eyes. A muzzle, teeth, a hunger. It's not me. Or is it the real me? I'm terrified to sleep, terrified to look in the mirror, because it looks back with a grin. My heart thudded. She wrote of hearing howls in her dreams, then waking up with mud on her feet. She questioned her sanity, suspecting the one in the mirror was a real entity, some wolf spirit dwelling within her. Eventually, exhaustion closed in. I switched off the lamp. The old house was silent except for my breathing. Then faintly I heard it. A howling, distant but distinct. My stomach lurched. Could it be a dog outside? Another coyote? Maybe. But the sound lingered, rising in an eerie wail that set my nerves on edge. I forced my eyes shut, willing myself to ignore it. It was 2 a.m. after all. But the howling repeated, closer now. My chest tightened. And then, near the closet corner, a soft scraping. My heartbeat pounded. The house had felt empty all day. Now it felt occupied. I flicked on the bedside lamp. The closet door was shut, no sign of movement. Then my gaze fell on the large standing mirror, half draped with a sheet. My father had given it to Lara, an antique passed down from grandparents. The sheet had slipped, revealing part of the mirror's surface. My reflection stared out, pale, wide-eyed. but for a split second I swore the eyes in the reflection glowed. A wave of primal fear surged through me. I blinked, stepping closer. The reflection was normal, just me, wearing an old t-shirt, hair disheveled. No glow, no monstrous face, yet I couldn't shake the memory of that flicker. My sister's final diary line tore at my mind. When I look in the mirror, I see its eyes. A hollow knock from somewhere in the house made me jump. I froze, listening. Another knock. Was it the front door? Cautiously, I left the bedroom. The hallway stretched in gloom. I rummaged for the hallway light switch, nothing. The bulb must have burnt out. The only illumination came from the living room's faint lamp. Another knock echoed, sending adrenaline through me. It came from the living room mirror, I realized with a jolt. That antique mirror on the wall. Or was it from the window behind it? My mind reeled. I crept down the stairs. The living room stood still, shadows clinging to corners. The front door was locked. The window curtains were drawn. The mirror hung on the far wall, reflecting the faint lamp glow. I saw my shape approach. Everything looked normal. Then, from behind me, or within me, I heard a low growl. My limbs stiffened. Slowly, I turned to the mirror, searching for any sign of movement. My reflection was slightly warped by the old glass. I drew closer, my breath fogging the surface. My face, my hair, my eyes. But something else? For a moment, I glimpsed a second set of eyes behind mine, luminous and predatory, embedded in the reflection. I gasped and lurched back. The reflection shimmered, returning to normal. My heart hammered. Scrambling, I grabbed the diary from a side table. This was exactly what Lara described, an uncanny sense that the reflection carried a presence not her own. The house felt charged with malevolence, as if some hidden occupant stirred. I retreated upstairs, locked myself in the bedroom, and waited for dawn, the diary clutched to my chest. When morning light finally broke, I felt half deranged with exhaustion. I'd dozed off at some point, no further nightmares, but a lingering dread festered. I decided I'd had enough. I'd pack what I could and leave by noon. The place was suffocating me, yet as I made final preparations, a nagging thought wouldn't let me rest. What if the mirrors, the howls, the sense of a creature? What if it all connected to Lara's disappearance? Could I turn my back on that possibility? I took a walk outside to clear my head. Crisp air greeted me. The yard's grass was unkempt. Across the street, a row of trees bristled in the breeze. No obvious sign of wolves or large dogs. Probably just stray dogs howling at night, right? But the memory of that reflection's eyes wouldn't fade. Back inside, I found myself rummaging in the attic, searching for any occult or weird paraphernalia. Lara's notes hinted she'd grown desperate, seeking solutions to break a curse. Nothing turned up but dusty furniture and a trunk of old clothes. A phone call from my aunt interrupted me. She asked if I was done yet. I said nearly, but I'd be delayed. My voice trembled. She asked if I was okay. I lied, saying yes. Inside, I was far from okay. By late afternoon, a thick bank of clouds gathered overhead, promising a stormy night. My anxiety rose. I told myself, finish the job and leave tomorrow morning. Sighing, I fixed a small meal. The air felt oppressive, as though the house itself wanted me to stay. That evening, the storm rolled in with thunder shaking the windows. Rain lashed the roof. The old house groaned. Flickers of lightning illuminated the living room. I tried to distract myself with the TV news, but static filled the screen. The local station flickered in and out, so I turned it off, listening to the pounding rain. My gaze kept drifting to the hallway mirror. I draped a sheet over it earlier, unnerved by the illusions. A thunderclap rattled the glass. In the flash, I thought I saw something behind the sheet, a vague silhouette. Heart pounding, I approached, candle in hand. The overhead lights flickered from the storm. Slowly, I lifted the sheet. The mirror stared back, reflecting the candle's glow. My reflection seemed normal, if pale. Then, in a new flicker of lightning, a second face rippled across the glass wolfish, elongated with luminous eyes. I yelped, stumbling backward, dropping the candle. It extinguished in a splash of hot wax. The mirror was dark again, my reflection alone. My hands shook. Enough. I was leaving. Rushing to gather my things, I realized the storm outside made it impossible to drive the back roads safely. The wind howled like a living thing. With a frustrated groan, I realized I'd be stuck here yet another night. Around midnight, the storm's fury peaked. Rain battered the windows, thunder roared. Then, abruptly, the wind died, replaced by an eerie quiet. My nerves were shot. I dozed on the couch, no lights, but the occasional flicker of lightning. That's when I heard the howling again, closer, more urgent. My heart hammered. The front door rattled as if a strong wind or a presence tested it. Goosebumps erupted. I forced myself up, adrenaline surging. If there was an intruder, I had no weapon but maybe a kitchen knife, a scraping noise along the window pane. I grabbed the nearest heavy object, a lamp, and tiptoed toward the main hallway. Another flash of lightning revealed the mirror uncovered, though I was sure I'd replaced the sheet. My breath caught. The reflection in the glass? I saw a figure standing behind me, a tall lupine shape with glinting eyes. I spun around. Nothing there. The hallway was empty. My reflection, though, continued to show that monstrous silhouette looming behind me. I realized with a jolt that the reflection's background looked like a moonlit forest, not the hallway. My surroundings had changed in the mirror. A wave of disorientation struck me. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the hallway. The mirror's image flickered. Now it showed me alone. Had I hallucinated the forest? Panicked, I turned away. In the distance, the howling resumed, echoing through the walls. The diary's final lines rang in my skull. When I look in the mirror, I see its eyes. Did Lara see this same warped reflection? Did it lure her away? Thunder boomed overhead. I pressed my hands to my ears. Another crash shook the house, and a sudden gust of wind flung the front door wide open. Rain sprayed in. The hallway light flickered, revealing muddy footprints leading from the threshold to the mirror. My heart nearly stopped. Footprints, shaped oddly, as if a person with elongated toes or partial paws. They vanished at the mirror's base. The reflection shimmered with each flash of lightning. Steeling myself, I approached the mirror. My reflection stared back, but behind me I glimpsed that same forest scene, as though the glass was a window to another place. My sister once wrote she felt an otherworldly presence in her reflection. Could the mirror be some portal? Ridiculous. Yet the footprints confirmed something had come inside. A low growl resonated from within the mirror. My reflection's lips parted in an unearthly snarl. Terror seized me. I raised a trembling hand, reaching for the glass. The surface rippled like water. My reflection's eyes glowed feral, hungry. Outside, the howling soared. The footprints on the floor glistened with rainwater, each step more bestial than the last. My mind whirled with one possibility. Lara had stepped into this reflection, lost to the wolfish presence, or the presence dragged her in. Lightning flickered, and in the glass I glimpsed a figure, a woman crouched among twisted trees, hair matted, eyes wild. She turned, revealing Lara's face. My sister Feral, half-changed, hands caked in mud. She locked eyes with me through the mirror, lips curling into a silent plea or a snarl. My chest constricted. Was she trapped on that side, forced to roam a nightmare realm? I pressed my palm to the glass. The surface felt cold, swirling beneath my touch. Lara's reflection stepped closer. A monstrous silhouette loomed behind her, jaws parted. She mouthed something I couldn't hear, something like, "Help me." Before I could react, the monstrous shape lunged at her in the reflection. She cried out, face contorting in pain. My own reflection shattered, replaced by a swirl of darkness. Then the glass cleared, showing only me again. but the eyes shining from deep within my face. I staggered back, heart pounding. Had I just witnessed my sister's final moment? Or was it an echo, a trick? A new ripple passed across the mirror's surface. The lights in the hallway flickered, then died, plunging me into near darkness lit only by lightning. The reflection's eyes glowed bright. My face seemed bestial. I heard an ominous growl, but it came from my own throat. "No," I whispered, clutching my chest. My fingernails felt sharper. My breath quickened. Was I succumbing to the same fate? My sister's diary. It wanted me to change. I had to break free. Summoning all my will, I turned away from the mirror, stumbling for the door. But the footprints near the door, they circled back toward me, fresh and glistening. Something else had stepped in. The reflection behind me twitched. I glimpsed it in the corner of my vision. My reflection was no longer mirroring my movements. It stood upright, eyes blazing, inching forward. I let out a choked scream and dashed for the door. Lightning flared, revealing a half-seen shape lunging from the mirror's surface. I felt a cold, clawed hand brush my shoulder. With a desperate cry, I tore myself free, careening into the storm-lashed night. The rain pummeled me as I sprinted to my car, half blind from terror. In the swirling gloom, I heard the door behind me slam, or maybe it was the wind. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped my keys. The orchard around the townhouse flickered in lightning, revealing twisted shadows. A chorus of howling rose, as if multiple voices or one echoing in my mind. I dove into the driver's seat, started the engine, and peeled away, tires skidding on the muddy driveway. Through the rearview mirror, the townhouse windows glimmered, and for an instant I saw a silhouette in the living room, standing at the window, eyes reflecting lightning. It might have been me or that monstrous doppelganger, or perhaps my sister, lost forever. I forced my eyes back to the road. Each thunderclap rattled my car as I sped through the drenched night. My reflection in the rear view flickered with each passing streetlight. I tried not to look, tried to block out the memory of those glowing eyes. But a small voice in my head hissed, "They're still there, beneath your face." After hours of tense driving, I reached my apartment in the city, stumbling inside at dawn. My mind reeled with fatigue, hands stained from clenching the wheel. I half expected to see muddy footprints in my wake or monstrous eyes in every reflective surface. But the old mirror in my hallway was ordinary, no sign of a wolfish presence, yet I couldn't dismiss the sense that something had followed me or latched onto me. My sister's disappearance still offered no neat explanation. The journal in my bag felt hot, pulsing with the horror of her final confessions. In the days that followed, I avoided mirrors whenever possible. Washing my face, brushing my teeth, I kept my gaze down. My dreams twisted with visions of a midnight forest, the smell of wet fur and iron tang of blood. Each morning, I woke drenched in sweat, feeling an ache in my muscles as if I'd run all night. I tried to rationalize it. I was traumatized. My sister's disappearance weighed on me. But I recalled the moment the mirror reflection parted from me, those glowing eyes, the half-formed figure lunging from the glass. My sister wrote, "It's not me, or is it the real me?" One evening, unable to cope with the nightmares, I decided to reread Lara's diary from start to finish. She described a slow slip into bestial urges, starting with nightmares, culminating in actual transformations, or illusions of them. She believed the reflection was a gateway, some dark spirit that possessed her under the moon. She wrote, "If I can't break free, it will take my body. I'll vanish, leaving only the one in the mirror. I can't let that happen." But perhaps it did happen. She vanished. Did the one in the mirror escape in her place, wearing her form, prowling somewhere? My stomach lurched. That night I had a final dream. I stood in a moonlit orchard, hearing howls. My sister walked from behind a tree, eyes glowing, face twisted in sorrow. She reached out, touching my cheek, her nails black and sharp. I tried to scream. She whispered, "It's your turn." Then a monstrous reflection rose behind her, enveloping me in darkness. I woke at 3 a.m., trembling. In the dim bedroom mirror, I thought I saw a pair of predatory eyes behind my own reflection, just for an instant. Then it was gone. I've moved again, changed my phone number, tried to bury the memories of that townhouse in the mirror. The diary remains locked away in a trunk. People ask if I ever found my sister. I quietly say, no. Sometimes, though, on nights near the full moon, I hear distant howling echoing from alleyways or the outskirts of the city. My chest tightens with a mix of fear and longing. I avoid mirrors, but occasionally I catch a glimpse of my reflection in a shop window or elevator door. For a fraction of a second, I see eyes that are not mine glowing, hungry. Each time I recall the last line in Lara's diary. When I look in the mirror, I see its eyes. Now those eyes are my burden. Did my sister pass the curse to me? Or does the reflection simply haunt all who read her words? Tonight, as I write these final lines, the city's windows flicker with streetlights. In the corner of my eye, my reflection in the dark TV screen appears to move on its own, lips curling into a silent snarl. A chill runs through me. The howling begins again, somewhere in the distance. No matter how far I run, how many mirrors I cover, I can't escape that presence. My sister's final legacy is the one in the mirror, a hungry force that might claim me as it claimed her. Even now, I feel it stirring under my skin. I glance at the reflection, see a faint glimmer of gold in my irises. I wonder, in half-delirious dread, if I'll vanish one night under the moon, leaving only the beast behind, because it's there whenever I look. A pair of lupine eyes waiting in the glass, reminding me that my fate may mirror my sister's. And if I ever stop fighting, if I ever surrender to that reflection, I too may become one more howl in the night.